So my download of the day is taken from Psalms 47 verse 1 and verse 5. And it says, "O clap your hands, all ye people, shout unto God with the voice of triumph." And if you're someone who struggles with freedom and praise and worship and shouting, then maybe this one's for you. Because when I read this verse, I was reminded of how there was a time in life when I was really young and I felt unable to even lift my hands, clap and worship because of self-consciousness, because it didn't feel natural. And then God even reminded me, even up until recently, the shout of praise, giving God a shout of praise had seemed so unusual. And I remember the first time I did it, maybe like a year or a couple of years ago, it just felt so strange. And I was like, what do you even do? What do you say? Is it like, woo? It doesn't feel natural. And then one day I was watching an Arsenal match, hear me out, and we won at the very last minute, and the natural response, I was screaming, shouting, jumping up, arms were in the air, like everyone all around me in the room, we were all just ecstatic. It was just a natural response. And God really reminded me that actually it's a primal sound, so it sounds like woohoo! That's a primal sound in singing, and you can't harm your voice, you can't harm yourself by doing it. It's a primal sound is something that's natural, it's innate, it's a reflexive, automatic response that our body does. And God really reminded me of, okay, if that's a primal sound, then that's something that He's built in, that's something that He's put in us. So that praise, that worship, that expression is actually automatic and reflexive. And it's only when we're in a time of corporate worship and praise and worship, or even in personal praise and worship, that it's the devil that tries to tell us that, like, oh wait, people are looking at you, it's weird, like how unnatural, don't do that, or like, no, you can't possibly join in, you can't possibly shout, like what will you say? Those are all barriers and traps that the devil puts there, because actually praise is something that's natural in us. We were made to worship God, so it's primal, it's within us, it's our nature. And actually, when I saw it like that, I was like, it's actually so true, because I was just looking around the room and I was just like, no one's thinking here is thinking like, oh my gosh, like people are watching me. Everyone was just so, it was just like this natural outpouring of joy. And it's the same, we shout to God with a voice of triumph, of joy, because of what He's won. And if we really know what God has done and how the victory we have in Him is bigger than winning any football match, no matter if it's the last minute or first minute. That joy is the same, or a similar response I should say, and actually it should be more natural for us to worship God than to celebrate when our football team wins. And verse 5 goes on to say, God has gone up with a shout, the Lord with the sound of a trumpet. And God was really just showing me that actually it's not just, oh, you praise, you shout, you jump around, you spin, you do all these things just for fun because, yeah, it's celebrating. It's actually because praise and worship, it moves the hand of God, like it moves things, and God ascends with our praises. So when I saw it like that, I was like, wow, I just want to praise you like David praised. He did a whole dance marathon. And actually it shouldn't be restrained, because when we praise, when we worship, yes, there's an outpouring in our heart, and yes, we're celebrating, but God is moving in that. So if you're someone who struggles with freedom in praise and worship, hopefully this helps. And yeah, just remember, there's freedom, and it's natural, and it's innate, and it's just an expression of our gratitude of what God has done for us. So yeah, hopefully on Sunday, or whenever you next praise God, there's freedom.